What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel / podcast, whichever one you happen to be listening to. I am super stoked about today's guest. We have Drew Denham. Did I say that right?
Denim, like jeans.
Denim,
Jeans.
like the denim jeans. On the podcast today, this guy, man, your rap sheet, man, the amount of stuff that you have done is super impressive. So I'm super excited to get into this. A little bit about what these podcasts are going to be about, guys, just so that you know what you're listening to. I am looking at interviewing influential people within various industries. This will be very real estate heavy, but we're basically giving agents and giving entrepreneurs the chance to share their stories and share with the audience, kind of what they've done. And hopefully through sharing these stories, we will be able to inspire other young entrepreneurs or older entrepreneurs that aren't entrepreneurs yet that want to get out of the corporate world, because that is what we both did. We're going to dig into that. Ooh. So make sure you guys stay tuned. So let's go over what Mr. Drew has done in a very short period of time, because in my eyes, this is crazy impressive, which is why he has a gorgeous black Corvette down, but we can talk about that later. So Mr. Drew has been a realtor for 4 years. He spent 10 years in corporate America, obviously got out into entrepreneurship now, flipped 25 plus properties since, you said it was 2011, right?
So when I was at Dow Chemical and then at Amway, my side hustle was flipping houses at the time. So,
okay. So that's a good long time of flipping houses. Mm-hmm. He's got 30 plus rentals in 4 cities. Man, this is insane. GR Real Producers, agent on the rise, May 2020 this year. Nice start.
Woo!
Nice work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Broker as of 2020. That's a big one too. And this one, which has completely revolutionized my life, he has read over 100 plus non-fictional books in the last 3 years, which I'm sure can contribute to a lot of this success. And then the last thing, Tony Robbins, 3 years in a row. Man, this is pretty impressive. So one thing I like to start with the podcast is you've done a lot of stuff here, but I think people want to hear the backstory a little bit. Kind of what led into all of this. You said you were in corporate America for 10 years. What was that, and what ended up leading you into, having this impressive of a rap sheet?
I appreciate that. And first, before I get into that, I want to say thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm very, very thankful for that. Congrats on you. I don't think we've really formally even met before. Right. So it's good to connect with you, and congrats on all your success and your change with EXP, and you're doing really big things in the industry and also here in West Michigan. So I appreciate you. So let me back up a little bit. I went to Michigan State. I graduated in 2009 with a finance degree. 2009 was a challenging time coming out into the workforce. I wanted to move back home. Home is the Bay City, Saginaw, Midland area, so it's the east side of Michigan. And I was lucky to get in to Dow Chemical. Okay. My starting salary was $28,000 as a college graduate coming out of Michigan State. But I was thankful for the opportunity because I was replacing someone who made $80,000, $100,000 a year, and he told me what he made, so that's how I knew that. So I was literally getting into a job making 3 times less, but having a really great experience. So hands down, my first job at Dow Chemical and the supply chain role was my favorite role. So anyways, trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to climb you get it, you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Trying to climb the corporate ladder. I begged the company I worked for to pay for my MBA. They wouldn't. I said, okay, roger that. I'm going to go do it myself. So night classes at Saginaw Valley State University, got my MBA and also another bachelor's degree in 2.5 years, paid for it all myself.
That's awesome.
So I finally got my MBA, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to be promoted, like blah, 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 and it just wasn't happening. And so I started to look elsewhere. I threw my resume to different places, Amway being one of them. So I interviewed for Amway in 2014 and ended up getting the position. I wasn't necessarily set on it right away, even though it was a 25% raise at the time for me. And it just wasn't, it was change, right? Change is a little bit fearful. Now, like me, who I am, Drew Denham, 2022, I'm running towards fear, right? I'm running towards change, right? Because that's how we grow. That's how we become better men, women, etc. So I ended up taking the role at Amway in 2014. Wonderful company, 3 different roles at Amway, all in the finance type role or types of role. But traveled the world, went to India, China, Costa Rica. Half of my business comes from Amway people. So shout out to my Amway colleagues and friends. The Amway agent, the hashtag, the catchy Amway agent. So again, half of my business, real estate business now, comes from Amway referrals and Amway colleagues. So I'm super, super thankful for those connections. And, in 2018, I just was in a role that really was not a great fit for me. It was a very technical role, and I'm not a very technical guy, but my mindset is, let's try and learn and be technical. But I found out I'm not, and that's okay. And it was just time. And if I rewind a little bit, I bought my first house in 2011. And as a side hustle in my 10 years of corporate America, I was flipping houses on the side. I learned so much. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. But I learned so much. And I went in thinking, okay, what's the next step for me outside of corporate America? And I loved real estate. I loved meeting new people. I love a challenge.
Right.
And I thought it was a great, kind of hand-in-hand thing to go and become a full-time real estate agent in April of 2018, or June of 2018.
Okay.
And it's been a little over 4 years now. It's been amazing, and I've learned so much about myself, so much about real estate. Part of my mission now, and I think you're doing it too, is to help other people live better lives, whether that's a real estate agent or even someone that you meet in public.
Right.
So I'm very, very passionate about personal growth. And so that is the long story long. Overall, though, I'm so thankful for Dow Chemical. I'm so thankful for Amway. I would not be where I'm at today with those experiences or without those experiences. So
yeah, I love that. And I think I do want to dive into that a little bit because we have very similar stories as far as, networking and building a big network before getting into real estate and how powerful that has been for our real estate careers. We've actually been in real estate very similar timing. I was October 31st of 2017. So very similar timing. We both did something very similar, which was diving into network. So why don't you dive into a little bit about, when you got in 2011, because I want the audience, if there's new real estate agents or people that might think that this career is for them, listening to understand how powerful paying attention to what your network is. And if you do want to get into real estate, starting to build that network. So what is that? Like, how quick of success did you have in the beginning because you had that network?
It's a great question. So I remember having a conversation with my sister about it, and because at Amway pays really well. I was making six figures, benefits, traveling the world, right? And that's not to boast, that's to be fully transparent, that literally I'm walking away from a six-figure job to a job or a position that is commission only, no health insurance, nothing. That's okay. So I remember having a conversation with my sister, and we're just kind of mapping out maybe some different revenue streams or different things that I can do just help me float a little bit in case there's any issues. I don't have a ton of clients. So what I did and what I tell other people that are looking to potentially change and become an entrepreneur is have 6 months of reserves, have 6 months of your bills paid ahead. So that's what I did, and that helped me because once I walked out of the door at Amway, I knew I was okay for a little bit, right? So, and then what my mindset at 2018 versus my mindset of 2022, right? So my mindset in 2018 is, what's the worst that could happen, right? I have 10 years of corporate America experience. I have 2 bachelor's degree and a master's degree. I'm going to be able to find a job in West Michigan, the second biggest city, or Grand Rapids, the second biggest city in Michigan, right? I'm going to be okay either way.
Right.
New Drew Denham 2022, go in without a plan B.
Right.
You don't have 100%. A plan B, right? Because if you go in thinking, oh, I have a backup plan, right? It's the mindset, it's the grit to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to make this work. If that means I have to Uber on the weekends, if that means that I have to clean the floors or wash the dishes or make a little bit of side hustle here and there, I'm going to make that work.
Right.
So that was my mindset in 2018, and then now being the mindset of what I encourage other agents or new people that I meet that are debating of whether to become an agent or not.
Right.
Don't have a plan B. Go all in, right? So I forgot the rest of your question.
No,
I'm too fired up.
We're talking about network, but we can touch on that real quick before we dive back into what that network has done for you, because I think that's a big thing that people need to think about getting into this. Very beginning of my career, I tried to have another job when I started this, and they found out about it and ended up firing me. Okay. So it puts your back up against a wall, and you almost need to come into this, even if you have 6 months saved up and you have 6 months of bills, you need to act like your back is up against a wall, because the agents that I've seen come in that have a bunch of reserves and have a bunch of money sitting in the bank, they're comfortable. you're not, like, the beginning of being a real estate agent is hard. I don't care who you talk to. You've got to bust your ass to make it in this industry. And if your back's not up against a wall, you're not going to push. So I think that's really critical for people to realize is even if, and I like that advice of, you know, having money, because the agents that come in that have no money to their name whatsoever, all these strategies we talk about doing, like, they can't afford them because they don't have any money, period. Now, there's obviously a lot of stuff we can do free, but act like your back is up against a wall, you know, and maybe you even have to give most of your savings to one of your relatives and say, hey, I can't touch this for a certain period of time. So it actually puts your back up against a wall. So I do love that. So jumping back into the network, you know, your Amway network, you said a lot of your business has came from your Amway network. Like, how did you do that?
So it really wasn't super intentional, to be honest with you. Like, the people that know me well know that I'm a very, like, outgoing, very encouraging, very, like, I'll approach anybody. And and that's just kind of the type of person I am. And it's know, like, and trust, right? In real estate and sales, know, like, and trust. Yep. So I remember on my last day of Amway, I sent out an email to 250 people that either I worked with directly or were friends with. Amway had a basketball court, so I would play basketball a lot and built a lot of really great relationships and just put a plug out there to say, you know, hey guys, if my last day at Amway, thank you for everything. And if you happen to think of selling or buying in the near future or know anybody that's buying or selling in the future, I would love an opportunity to interview. And on top of that, I signed up with Key Realty. Key Realty, I'm currently with Key Realty. They do a fantastic job. But Tiffany Zakal, which was the broker at the time, she's a wonderful person, and I'm so thankful for her. She suggested to me to do a social media calendar. So right now, 9 out of 10 buyers start their buying process online. So you're really heavily in social media, so am I. Right. So with my intent with social media, though, is to provide valuable content. Does that always happen? Not necessarily, but that's okay too, because the goal is to educate and entertain in a post, in my opinion. So if you educate and you can entertain, you get a winning post. So, but Tiffany suggested I do like a social media calendar. And I always encourage real estate agents to don't post about real estate 7 days a week. Maybe post about real estate 2 or 3 times a week. Tuesday are my Tuesday tips. So I'm really passionate about mental health. We can go there if we want, but 2019, I hit really my rock bottom in my life. It was a very, 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 very challenging time in my life. So mental health and personal growth, you can see, I got a handful of books that maybe we'll get to, but that's a big part of my life. I want to share that. I have a golden doodle. I want to share that. I am a spiritual man. I want to share that. So I share content on a consistent basis. So of the 100 books I've read in the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, the common theme is consistency and discipline, right? Yeah. Consistent. If you're going to if you have a social media calendar of 6 posts a week, consistent and discipline, right? So I've been building on that every month, year over year, educating and entertaining, and my business has taken off, and I'm super thankful for it. And so I think if agents can come in with that mindset to be consistent and be disciplined in everything, not just posting, but your miracle morning. I just did a video on this the other day.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
If you read this book will change your life, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Right. So social media was a big thing for me, and I'm continuing to get better. And I think it's important for all of us to always be teachable, always be coachable, and always looking at where can I do better. Right. In addition, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I'm going to keep rolling.
You're the guest. So
okay.
I'm just asking questions.
So resolving pain points for the buyer and the seller, right? For example, changing keys if you're a buyer, right? I haven't done this yet, but it's on my to-do list. So a pain point for a buyer is they get possession and they want to change all the keys because who knows who has the old keys to the house, right? Maybe you hire a mobile locksmith if you're an agent and you say, you know what, Mr. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I got you. We have a mobile locksmith coming by and they're going to rekey every single exterior key for you so you don't have to worry about that. Maybe that person isn't handy, doesn't know how to install a door lock. Resolving a pain point. Getting a moving truck, resolving a pain point. My intent is to try and hit those as much as I can and try to give my customers, my clients, the best consistent experience that I can. and always looking for more opportunities to get better. So, and then one more thing that I'll add is I like to call it the big four. So as any salesperson, any entrepreneur, if you can nail setting expectations with your buyer and or your seller, if you can over communicate, if you can add value whenever possible, and you always put them first, you're going to be successful. I guarantee it.
Right.
One thing I've also started doing too is having a Tuesday checkup with all my clients that are under contract. And I say on the buying consultation or the selling consultation to say, once we're under contract, I'm going to be contacting you at a minimum every Tuesday. It might say happy Tuesday. My update is no update, right? But they know every Tuesday we're going to know where we're at in this process.
Yeah,
versus just kind of chaos, right? And I think I learned that from Treadstone. So shout out to Treadstone. I think one of the owners did that. Or I learned that from him. So things like that, right? How can I get better? How can I develop a bigger skill set? I'm going to keep going if you're going to let me, because I got more. Okay. So even if agents, like I've been talking to a couple agents that are maybe a little bit slower than they want to, right? Why not adding a new skill set, right? Because if you can be a real estate agent, but if you can compete or continue to add skills to your skill set, you're going to continue to thrive and soar. For example, what if you learn Spanish, right? Okay, I'm going to learn Spanish, and I can help Spanish-speaking people only buy and or sell real estate. It could be getting a broker's license. It could be starting to learn more about investing, because investing, everyone wants to talk about investing.
Yes.
So don't look at what you don't have. Control what you can control. I can control learning a new skill.
Yes.
That new skill is going to help me. It's going to help open different doors to me.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, and if you want, I mean, that's a great, because you think about it, how many realtors do we know that speak Spanish? I know a couple, and they're my go-tos when I have Spanish-speaking clients that can't understand me. So those Spanish-speaking clients that I can't communicate with, it's like if I learned Spanish, and it's the same thing. So my corporate world was, I worked at Caterpillar as a technician. And at all dairy farms, majority of the workers were from Mexico, and I couldn't understand them. They couldn't understand me. We got along great. We laughed together. I gave them cat hats and stuff, and we had a blast. But I would have loved to be able to communicate with them. And that's a whole different realm of people that you get to help, because now you get to show on social media that you should be doing anyways. If you're a real estate agent, you're not on social media, you're going to just, you might as well just get out of the business. But you're going to open up yourself to that network of people. And by showing and saying, look, you know, I understand how to speak Spanish, that's going to automatically start to draw those people in for you. So yeah, learning a new skill, I think, is definitely a huge win. And
I agree, man. And it's also being disciplined. For example, I just read a book earlier this year called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I don't have that in my stack. It's a Christian book, but it's an amazing book. It said the average American spends 705 hours per year, I would say. Is that week or month or year? Anyways, I'll fact check that later. On social media, right? Just scrolling.
I don't think it's 700 hours a week. I don't think there's 700 hours
No,
a
it's
week.
not a week. we need a mathematician in here or something.
We're realtors. We only know how to do 3%.
So my intent with bringing that up, guys, is like, I get it. Social media is fun, and there's some good stuff, but there's also a lot of nonsense.
Yes.
And I don't want anything to do with that. And so cut that in half, right? So let's say that person does look at social media 705 hours, whatever it is.
Right.
Cut that in half. What can you do with 350 hours back in your life?
Read a lot more of these.
You can do that. You can maybe become a better wife, a better friend, a better partner, learn a new skill. It's just XYZ. It's just on and on and on and on, right? Yeah. So it's just like, where do you choose to focus your time?
Yes.
And I'm not perfect at it, and I've come a long way with social media, and I've come a long way with minimizing my exposure to certain things,
right?
Because I don't want to have anything to do with it. So I just thought that was an interesting stat. I'm going to include it on my October newsletter too about that fact, because maybe some people don't realize it, right? Because it's unconscious.
It is.
They're just looking, scrolling, right? And there's good stuff, but there's a lot of not so good stuff in my opinion.
I'd be curious to see like what would happen even in my own. I know I spend way too much time on social media, you know, because your phone tells you, you know, week by week how long you've been on social media, or at least the iPhone does. And it's like cutting that in half and then being intentional with that time that you're not on social media, and then see what happens. Document the journey, and see what happens in your business 30, 40, 60 days from now. by being intentional. Like instead of scrolling on social media, it's like if you're going to scroll on social media, that's fine. But the whole time, instead of just mindlessly scrolling, message people. Like go through and just message a bunch of people. How are you? Because guess what, guys? On Messenger, when you message somebody, your career is right underneath your name. So if you're talking to them almost every single time, I'd say 9 out of 10 times I'm doing that, they ask me how the real estate market is. And then that's your cue to go into it and tell them how the market is. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely powerful. One thing I want to jump into, because personal development, I started personal development, I don't even know, probably 12 years ago. So when I was working at Caterpillar, I knew that that's not where I wanted to work forever. I knew that I wanted something bigger. Same thing. I was making 6 figures at Caterpillar, but I had to work 1,200 hours of overtime a year in order to hit 6 figures. I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into sales. And you know what's funny? Like when you were talking about your corporate experience, I tried multiple times to get into sales at Caterpillar, and they would not let me into sales because they didn't want to lose mechanics. And now they lost me altogether. They lost you altogether because they would not give you a roadmap to get where you wanted to go within that company. And I feel like a lot of companies lose really good people by making them stay where they're at, when it's like, okay, let's honestly look at your potential and see what you have. And it's like, if we think you can go to that point, what's the roadmap to get there? Guess what? We're going to climb that roadmap. We're going to go that direction. So that wasn't happening. So I didn't know at the time I wanted to be a real estate agent, but I knew I wanted to be in sales because I want an unlimited cap on my income and dictate on however hard I wanted to work. So I started listening to a ton of different books, podcasts. Before I got into real estate, I listened to over 100 top producers tell their stories. And that is how I did 34 deals my first year.
Ooh, that's smoking.
Yeah, that was
good for you,
a
man.
lot. And that's how I did it, because I had already known what I was supposed to be doing. So what I want you to chit chat about is, you've read, what was it, over 100 books, 150, whatever it was.
100, I think.
Over 100 personal development books. Obviously, that has changed your life. I know it has, because it's changed my life, and I've never stopped since I started. And when I do stop, I really notice it. What has that done for your life? What has it done for your business? Why feed your brain after high school?
It's such a great question. So the average, should I bring this up a little bit? Are we good? So the average person reads less than 1 book per year. The average CEO reads something along the lines of 60 or so, right? So let me back up a little bit. I hit a really tough time in my life in 2019, because sometimes I get feedback from people to say, Drew, why are you posting all this encouragement, posting stuff?
Right.
Like, are you okay? Well, in 2019, I wasn't,
Right.
even sometimes before that. So very dark time for me, anxiety and depression kind of thing over a certain experience that happened in my life. And I took that and was like, okay, if you want something you've never had, you need to do something you've never done.
Right. So
I don't know what it's like to get over anxiety. I didn't want to just necessarily take a prescription pill to get through it. Not that I'm, I guess, against that at all. But I just knew that you have to change your mindset. How do you do that? I have no idea. Right. So I started grabbing onto new things. In 2020, right before COVID, I was invited to go to a men's Christian retreat of 4 days. From sun up to sundown, very heavily into the word. And that was new to me, and I'm still learning. My journey through that is still growing, and it always will be growing. But that was the foundation for me. I like to tell people that was the foundation for me, because I walked out of there, the colors were brighter. My attitude was changed. So I'm like, okay, I'd start to do some different things. Right. So came across this book again, and I started to do meditation. So my morning routine, I get up, I drink a big glass of water, and get the coffee pot going. I always make my bed, always make your bed, and then I meditate. And I just did the video on meditation, and we won't go too deep into that, but meditation is so beneficial because it puts you in the present moment, right? Because so many times, like, you and I could be talking, but maybe old Drew is thinking about that email that he didn't send yet, or you're thinking about, do I have to do this or X, Y, Z, right? You get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, you fight that. I still fight that.
Okay, and I do too.
Right.
But meditation, if you do it on a consistent basis, will bring you to the present moment. So I meditate, I visualize, I read for 10 minutes or so, 10 pages. I rip out affirmations, and then did I miss anything? Nope. And then I'll exercise. So working out is a big point for me. So I guess long story long is I started to look at different things. I didn't know what practicing gratitude meant. I didn't know what affirmations meant. I didn't know what meditation meant. And by the way, when someone starts meditation who's never done it before, it can be pretty uncomfortable in the beginning because your mind is racing 100 miles an hour and you want to give up. And my suggestion to those people is don't give up. Start at 3 minutes, start at 5 minutes per day. And I promise it'll get better over time. And all of a sudden your mood's going to change, right? Because it takes 66 to 365 days to develop a new habit. And I think where people fall short is they want that quick fix, right? Yeah. They want to be able to feel, okay, after a week of meditation, I want to feel in the present moment. I hope that happens for you, but based on everything that I've read, that's probably not the case, right? So stick with it. So, and then I just start to feel my mood change. And then all of a sudden different opportunities start coming in because my affirmation, I'm changing my subconscious. My conscious and subconscious are now starting to align. So these different opportunities start coming up. I put real estate near the very end in 2020 of my personal, like the very bottom on the upward trajectory in 2020. I put it on the back burner. 2020 was absolutely unreal for me for real estate because I started to change my mind. Like if you change your mind, you change your life. Right. So I would encourage anybody that says, maybe I hear a lot, I'm not a reader. Right. Okay, I wasn't either. I wasn't either. Nope. I didn't like it at all. And now I'm pretty obsessed with it, and I love doing it. Yeah. So change your language, right? If people say, if every time you tell yourself you're not a reader, you're reaffirming your subconscious brain to say, I'm not a reader. Yes. Change an affirmation that says, I love to read. I am a reader, right? And then just start doing it. Pick a topic that you like. I would encourage nonfiction, and just start doing it. Right. So that's where I'm at, man. And it's been amazing. And I'm obsessed with it. I love it. And I really try to help as many people as I can, regardless of if they're in sales or a real estate agent or entrepreneur. I want to help as many people as I can because I really feel that's probably my calling in life. Right. One of the main ones, at least. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, I love that. And I guess where I was going to go with that. So, are you actually physically reading? Or so for like myself, I do not like to physically read, but I love listening to audiobooks. So I will buy their book to support the author and then listen to it. I guess I'm technically buying it twice. So I'm really supporting them. But I like to have the actual physical book, in my office. So are you actually physically reading these, or do you do any audiobooks or podcasts or anything like that? It's a great question. I would say I lean more towards liking to read. Okay. But we're in the car a lot. Yeah. We drive a lot. Opportunity cost on time. Right. In the past, I'd be listening to the same music. I mean, granted, there's podcasts, right? And there's good content in there. But I kind of have a rule that if I listen to a book via Audible or whatever it is, I'll listen to it twice. Because we're driving, right? We got to make sure we're driving safe and doing our thing. And, we're distracted. Versus if you're reading, right, you're pretty engaged. Right. But, that's true. So I would say it's probably about half and half. Okay. But again, opportunity cost on time. Right. It's fun to listen to music, and there's a time and place for that. Right. But let's think about what if I could listen to a book? I'm to and from work. Someone says I don't have time to read a book. Yes, you do. Right. Turn off the music, and plug on an audiobook. Oh, 100%. And I agree with you. Like, there's time and place. Like on the way to a listing appointment, there's times I'm probably listening to my favorite music, get myself amped up. Have high energy going into that listing appointment. But like on the way here today, it's like, okay, what am I getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to go do a podcast with Drew. Okay, I want to get my mindset into doing a podcast. So what I do, I listen to a podcast on the way here. I listen to one of my favorite podcasts so that I remembered kind of how that podcast went, kind of how the questions went, and, so that I could get myself in the right mindset to do this. Because if I listen to, I love rock music. If I listened to hardcore rock music the whole way here and didn't get myself in the mood to do a podcast, I'd probably be scatterbrained like crazy, even worse than I already am because I'm ADD. So it's like getting yourself in that right mindset. And
I tell people all the time, it's like, if you're going to be in the car, especially as an entrepreneur or someone that's wanting to grow and wanting to change your life, what are you doing listening to music? You should not be listening to music. You should either be listening to podcasts that are relatable to your, whatever your career is, or listening to books helping you grow. How to win friends and influence people, the power of one more, like any of that stuff. You should be feeding your brain with that stuff because, if the top level executives and the biggest entrepreneurs in the world are on average reading a book a week and you're reading one a year.
It was almost one, I think it said in the book.
Right. Yeah, it's almost one. Yeah. Some of them are reading more than one a week, so it's like, yeah, it's insane.
I listened to a podcast on the way here too.
Did you?
Oh my God. I was getting fired up. Who did you listen to?
Joshua Smith.
Okay. I'm not
Get
sure.
Shit Done.
I'll have to listen.
GSD mode.
Okay.
You haven't dove into that one yet? You're going to have to.
So I listened to Tony Robbins today.
Okay.
And I think I just got to leave it alone. Okay,
we're good
now. So I listen to Tony Robbins, and there's one specifically that I love, and I'm thinking the same freaking mindset, Kevin. Like, it'd be fun, like, to pump out and like get some rap on. I like rap. I like all music, but rap gets me kind of fired up sometimes. But because we're probably about the same age. I'm 36. How old are you?
33.
Okay, similar age.
Pretty close.
So we grew up born in the 80s, but. Yep. But no, I'm like, I want to get my mindset right. I want the Holy Spirit to come through me, through Tony, through whatever podcast that I pull on. I pulled up an Eric Thomas video too, to say, help me absorb something from this content, from these podcasts, so I can share that with Kevin, and Kevin can share with me, and then we can help someone that's going to listen to this have a better life or a better job or a better career, whatever it is.
I love that.
So get into the mindset of that. So it's funny we did that, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
we're very similar. I'm finding, so that's fun. That always makes the podcast a lot more fun when you have a lot in common. Okay, so you talk about that you do a lot with referrals, and it sounds like it's not like a simple just agent referrals and stuff like that. You do a lot of different referrals. So why don't you talk about that, and then the big topic that everybody's wanting to know about right now. In the beginning of this, I talked about how many investment properties you've done. So talk about your referral system, and then dive into your investments and kind of how that started and how you've been continuing to pump that out, because I think that's very interesting to a lot of people.
Appreciate that, Kevin. So I've been fine-tuning this as I've been an agent since 2018 full-time. But anytime somebody sends me a referral, a buy or sell, regardless of that, if it works out or not, I always get a handwritten thank you note card out, and I date it, and I say something, something heartfelt, but it's kind of something like this, thank you, Sally, for thinking of me. Joe and I have chatted about his home in East Grand Rapids, and we plan on to meet next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Or at 5 o'clock, and I really appreciate you thinking of me. If there's anything that I can ever do for you, please let me know. Enjoy a Starbucks coffee on me, and I'll always put a $10 or $20 Starbucks gift card and my 1 to 3 business cards, and get that in the mail, right? Because there's some people that I know that I think I've talked to that they don't send a text, they don't call, they don't email, or maybe they email. So I'll get into this book. Your watchers need to get this book. This is probably the top 3 book as a real estate agent. Get this book, The 7 Levels of Communication. It's a wonderful book. But basically, I want to thank them for thinking of me. How many last time I checked, there's 3,600 of us in West Michigan, give or take 4,000. Someone said 4,000 the other day. So out of 4,000 people, Kevin, that person thought of me. I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm going to thank them for that, regardless if it works out or not. Maybe I get an interview and maybe it doesn't work out. That's totally fine too, but I want to thank them. In addition to that, anybody that ever sends me a real estate opportunity, investing opportunity, it's the same process. Thank you, Sally, for thinking of me. I ended up buying that duplex in Bay City, and I'm really thankful for you for doing that. And again, please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Here's a $100 gift card to Lucky Steakhouse in Bay City, Michigan. Have a great day, and I really thank you so much for that. And back to the realtor side of it, or a referral for a real estate client. Mm-hmm. Once that person closes, I'll get another handwritten note card in the mail, and maybe a $50 or $100 gift card to some place that they like. Again, this letter in the mail, handwritten. One more. the other agents on the sides, right?
Yes.
So there's 3,600 agents, 4,000 agents in West Michigan.
Right.
It's so important to play fair in the sandbox. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay, because you never know when you're going to come across that person again.
Right.
So, for example, I've implemented this into with agents. If I feel that agent over-communicated, did a great job, came together, because sometimes deals can be challenging, right? Mm-hmm. So you come together and try to find a meeting of the minds, right? They're helpful, they're resourceful, they got good energy, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. I'm doing the same thing. Thank you, Nicole, for a great transaction in Muskegon this past weekend. Enjoy a $10 Starbucks gift card on me. I appreciate your communication, all your efforts, X, Y, Z. And I do that every time. Only awesome. If that agent I feel did a great job. There was one recently where I felt like he wasn't very, he just came off as a know-it-all a little bit to me. And that's okay. It's all good. And sometimes you're not just going to mesh with certain agents, certain agents, and that's okay. So that's what I wanted. I wanted to let your listeners know to start thanking the people that think of you, right? Yeah. And be unique, be different, stand out, get a handwritten note in the mail. It's so easy to text. So easy to text. A call is great too. Plus, get a card and a call. Right. Like, just get nuts. Like, thank that person.
Yeah, and that makes them think of wanting to do that again.
For sure.
And that's the big, I mean, it's not only are you thanking them. Have you ever heard of Brian Buffini?
You give me all these new names. I'm going to do some homework when I get home.
So the Buffini system I've been running basically since day one. My very first brokerage was RE/MAX United, and they believed in the Buffini system, and a lot of the RE/MAX offices believe in Buffini, and that's kind of where I got my start, was at RE/MAX. And it is all about that. Like, my business is probably 80% referrals. And it is doing personal handwritten notes, thanking them, thanking the other agents, because you're right, playing nice in the sandbox. You know, I have won deals in multiple offer situations, and I was not the best offer, but that agent knows me so well and knows I'm going to get the job done that they told their clients, hey, this offer is not quite as good as this one, but I know this agent and I know he's going to get it done. You know, it's like, that is powerful. You know, it's like when there's 15 offers and you get chosen because you have a direct connection relationship with them because of stuff like this, you know, that's a really huge deal. So I love that you're doing that.
That's amazing, but it's been momentum, right? I've been doing this since 2019 or so, right? Every time. It might be a few days late this next time, but I'm going to get it in the mail, right? Because I'm consistent and I'm disciplined.
So then tangible, what has that done for your business?
Well, it's a great question. Challenging to say, like, hey, I reached out to you because you sent a handwritten note, but like, it's a little bit selfish on my point too, because I genuinely want to thank them and you know, go the extra mile and spend the 5 or 10 minutes to really write a message to them of how I really feel about them, their friendship, our connection, X, Y, Z. So to say how it's kind of monetized, I'm not really sure. I am 90% plus based, referral based. Okay. So,
well, and I guess you can kind of play that as in, you started this in 2019, right? Sending all the handwritten notes.
I'm not sure, but it's been 2 or 3 years. I don't remember exactly.
Over the last couple of years, how much has your business grown? Like, where are you at? Because it is hard to see, but I think there's a direct line of the stuff that you've been doing and how that has affected your business.
For sure. And as far as sales, I don't know where I'm going to end up today, but I'm already 50% higher than I was last year. And we have 3 months left or so. Right. I say 3 because we're in September 8th, but really our year ends December 1st, right? Because it's 30 days to close on a property. So that's exponential growth.
That is huge.
And I am so thankful for that. And it's consistent. It's discipline. It's saying, how can I resolve more pain points for my clients? How can I be a better man, a better real estate agent, a better man of God, X, Y, Z, everything. Because we didn't talk about this yet, but I want to highlight on it for a second. Overall success, right? You could sell 100 houses a year, but if someone's overweight, if they have a terrible marriage, if they have a terrible relationship with their kids, their spiritual life is non-existent, right? Is that success? In my opinion, no, right? So hitting on all these different areas of business, and not in no particular order, but business, relational, familial, spiritual, health, physical health, mental health, X, Y, Z, right? You get where I'm going with this. So like, that was been my mindset change, because in the beginning, 2018 and 19 and prior, Drew Denham was all chasing deals. For what reason, I don't really know. But it's focusing on overall success.
Right.
And also to add to, it's just like be mindful of what are you going to be remembered for?
Right.
Because we're here to grow and give in some way, shape, or form. So what are you going to be remembered for? What is your unique person or purpose? And go chase that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Thanks, man.
I want to move into the investing a little bit before we wrap up this podcast, because I know that a lot of the listeners want to invest. Maybe a lot of people listening have not got to invest yet. So maybe give just a little insight to how you've been able to invest in so many properties, and maybe somebody listening to this, how do they get their first property?
It's a really great question. So I would go back to the handwritten note. When another real estate agent brings you a deal, you might crunch the numbers and say, okay, that does not make sense. Still formally thank that person, still get them a $10 or $20 gift card in the mail. I've been doing that consistently for 3 years, 3 or 4 or 5 years, XYZ. So start doing that. Does that happen overnight? Does a deal come right in your lap the next night? Not necessarily. I hope so for you, but maybe not.
Right.
But build that discipline into your life of sending that. So I would start to do that. I would let everybody in your sphere know that you are looking for a real estate investment opportunity. So I did a video on this recently, but letting everybody know, that could be your family, that could be your friends, that could be your coworkers, that could be putting a post on Facebook maybe once per quarter to say, hey everybody, my name is XYZ or Sally Smith, and I'm looking for a duplex in either Grand Rapids or Holland or Hudsonville or whatever it is. If anybody comes across it, I would love an opportunity to see the house, something like that.
Right.
But consistently putting those feelers out all the time, it's just going to start to build what's called momentum, right? You're going to get momentum, and all of a sudden the phone's going to ring. And one thing I love about this business, Kevin, not only as an agent and an investor, but you just never know who's going to call you. Right. On a day-to-day basis.
100%.
To say, hey, I saw your video, and you did a great video on Ed Milet's book. I saw your video and I love your energy. We're selling a house XYZ, right? So you just never know who's going to call you, but build that momentum. So build your deal funnel. So we talked about handwritten notes. We talked about letting your sphere know, everyone you know, that you're looking for an investment opportunity. You want to also make sure you have your financing in order, because you want to be ready to go when an opportunity presents itself. So I would have that person either get pre-approved, have the cash, do a 401k loan. I've done that, and the Dave Ramsey fans are probably losing it. They're screaming, but hey, teach their own. And so start to build those connections, and let other agents know, if they're a real estate agent, let them know that I am looking for a potential. If there's a situation where a seller does not want to go to on market or go live, I would love an opportunity to see it. I've even done things. I'll save that for a later day. We'll talk about the investing time another time, but or more of it. Maybe we'll have a full show on investing. But the first step is putting it out there. Put out there what you want. Your sphere, posting on social media, Instagram, Facebook. This is what I'm looking for. Thanking them regardless of if the numbers work or not. I don't care if it's a someplace in the middle of nowhere, or if it's $1 million house in East Grand Rapids. Like it doesn't matter to me, because that person still thought of you first. So build your deal funnels. Like I've worked with a couple wholesalers, done a couple things like that, but really, man, it's been word of mouth. I just got a 6-unit under contract on the other side of the state. Thanks, buddy. But you get this. I called the agent, and I'm just asking her questions. I'm being kind. Can you help me understand how you came up with the price? Tell me about the property, and being myself. And she calls me back and says, Drew, there's been many people trying to contact and get into this house and see it, but the seller and I feel, based on our connection with you, that we want to give you the first right to see it. And get under contract. The inspection was today. I don't know how it went. I'll talk with my contractor afterwards. But it's just being kind, right? You get out what you put in. If you're out there inspiring, encouraging others, and leading with kindness, because kindness means that you're being kind to someone that maybe doesn't necessarily deserve it. You with me on that?
Yep.
So just putting good out there, and I'm a true believer that good will come back. And that's not, I don't want that to be confused with tit for tat, right? I'm only going to do something for you if you do something for me, because I've experienced people that have that mentality, And I don't think that's the right mentality. Another book drop is called The Go Giver. If anybody is a big reader that's listening, go listen to The Go Giver. The basis is give more value than you receive in payment, right? And the universe will reward you eventually when the time is due to say, thank you for being kind. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping that person out. So I can go through my criteria if that's helpful for investing, if we're doing still good on time.
Yeah, we're good.
So I'm going to go on the west side of the state because I do some investing on the east side of the state, and I have different criteria for each side. But West Michigan, the 1% rule. So the 1% rule states that 1% of the property's value needs to equal 1% in rent. But I also include rehab into that. So for numbers, if I buy a duplex for $230,000 and I put $20,000 into it, it needs to rent for $2,500 minimum.
Okay.
So you take the emotion out of it when you have criteria.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two is I'm only investing in ABC areas. That's going to look a little bit different for each investor. A B area to me might be a D area to somebody else. So I say do your own due diligence on the area.
Right.
The third is it needs to cash flow. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm a cash flow investor, not an appreciation investor. That's what's great about investing is you can go so many different ways.
Right.
And then finally is I want to buy the property, or I need to buy the property at ARV, which is after repair value, 75% of ARV minus the rehab. So if a property is worth $300,000, 75% of that is $225, right? Fact check. Math.
I believe so.
I'll get my calculator out.
Right.
$225. Let's say it needs estimate $25,000 of renovations. I need to buy that place for $200,000.
Okay.
So that's it worth it. So ARV times 75% minus ARV plus those other three sets of criteria. And I've developed that. I've kind of fine-tuned that as I've gone.
Right.
And I've kind of flipped mostly in my earlier career, but now I want multifamily properties and I want unique buildings.
Okay.
Because I just started getting into Airbnb this year and it's taken off. And
Nice.
Certainly we won't go too deep in this, but Airbnb has been an amazing opportunity. And with an Airbnb building, you want to buy something that's unique.
Right.
And you want to provide
100%.
a very memorable experience for that person because it's just going to spider web. Just like how you do a great job for your clients. It's your spider webbing here in West Michigan and other parts of Michigan. So would love to come on again and talk a little bit more.
Well, sounds like we need to because there's a lot of rabbit holes
we're running
we can
over.
go down.
We're running over time. And then I would love a quick couple minutes to talk about Shawami if we still have.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll wrap up with some advice for people listening that want to get into real estate. Okay,
perfect. So quick tip on or suggestion about Shawami. So basically, Shawami is like Uber for real estate agents. So it's a great app, and it's been a great service for me as a real estate agent. I am working with a company to grow Michigan, to grow the Midwest, that kind of thing. So it's beneficial for a handful of different reasons. So we were just in Dallas together 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
If you're a solo agent, how do you handle showings for your client if you don't have a buyer's agent? So if you're solo, how do you handle showings?
You're either going to have to ask somebody in your brokerage or, ask somebody.
Do you want to, while Tony Robbins is presenting, do you want to leave for a half hour or whatever it's going to be and call all your agents? The answer is probably not. So Shawami solves that. It's a solution to that. So basically, same thing. I used it 5 or 6, 7 times when I was in Dallas, but I have a client that wants to see 123 Street in Rockford at 5 o'clock on a Friday. I put it in the app. I go to how much I'm going to offer to pay, and I go out and I hit submit. And it just like Uber, it goes out to another licensed agent. It might not be EXP, it might not be Key Realty, but another agent's going to pick them up. Shawami takes their cut. I pay, let's say, $75. Shawami keeps 15. I'm using random numbers here, but and then that agent gets $60. Let's say that agent is not very busy right now, and he or she needs to earn some extra income. They need to put gas in their tank, food on the table. That's also another solution. They get food or they get extra money, they get a side hustle going, and by the way, they get experience. So if anybody hasn't heard of Shawami, feel free to reach out to me. It's free to have the app. It only costs money if you request a showing. So thank you for letting me put a...
Yeah, no, I love that because I tell new agents all the time. I train a lot of new agents, and it's like you guys have to stop being secret agents. Like you're not putting anything on social media. You're barely calling your sphere. Like this is one opportunity to make it look like you're busy. So if you're not busy in real estate and you want to be busier, like show your sphere, show the world that you're a busy real estate agent. People want to work with winners, plain and simple. Like they don't want to work with losers. It just is what it is. That's the way the world goes around. So if you can show that you are out showing properties all the time, like, oh my gosh, guys, this is amazing. Check out this property. Check out this unique thing here. You know, you're showing to your sphere, you're ready to work. So if you don't have any showings because you don't have any clients, get the Show Me app and get out there and make it look like you have a bunch of clients.
If you could use my referral link too, I would appreciate it.
Right.
But it sounds like what you're saying is a win-win-win situation, right?
Is.
You're getting paid, you're getting experience. So by the way, you're showing your sphere that, hey, I'm showing a house in Rockford, I'm showing a house in East Grand Rapids or wherever it is, right? So it's a win-win-win situation in my opinion. And so I just want to let other agents know that this service is available to them.
Yeah, and a lot of teams, like when I was running my team, we started looking into the showing agent model. Well, if you don't, like there's some weeks that you have a lot more showings than other weeks. So if that agent on your team, you know, that's just a showing agent, well, there's some weeks that they're barely working. Where with something like Uber, you know, or Uber for real estate agents, you have a huge pool that's pouring into that. So yeah, I love that. So I'll have to check that out more.
For sure. Like I was in Bay City, 2.5 hours away from here, business, family, friends, that kind of thing. And showings come up again in West Michigan, taken care of.
Right.
I have a small team now, but it's been so.
My brain, gears get rolling. It's showing me, is this in other states?
You're asking me some great questions that we're going long. We're getting crazy here
guys,
on a Friday. Hey, I can do this all day. Like I'm so excited to do this. Shawami is number one in market share in the United States. There's over 65,000 agents that are licensed or that are signed up with Shawami. So Shawami is number one in this space. So 65,000 agents. And the idea behind it is you can find a local agent versus, like, let's say you have a client in Detroit and they really, and not to say you wouldn't do that, but, and you can't get there.
Right.
It's $1 million client, whatever it is.
$1 million client, I'm going to Detroit, but.
Well, let's say you out on a family vacation.
Right, exactly.
What are you going to do then?
Right. Yeah.
So I forgot what you asked me.
If it was in different states.
Yes.
Because that got my gears rolling for some ideas that we'll probably talk about off air. Because I think it has some crazy potential that I just thought about, but that's a really cool opportunity. You know, if you are on vacation and you need a showing, or if it is a $1 million buyer and maybe they are way across in Detroit, you know, then you can help them. Or even like Michigan. Let's say that you get a client, normally you'd refer them up to Traverse City. Well, maybe you get on Show Me and you find an agent. If you connect with them really well, you really like them, well, now they take that client, you get a lot bigger referral fee on that one. Like there's opportunities here to be able to still be very connected to your buyer when they're not buying right here.
It's amazing. I agree with you. And I would just say, set that expectation. Maybe you're exactly right. Maybe you have a phenomenal conversation with someone that wants to buy a $700,000 house in Traverse City to say, I can come show you 7 houses on a weekend. But there's going to be times where I'm going to hire out someone to show you if a listing comes up and I'm not able to make it. And almost everyone I've talked to, the clients, they're like, that's fine, Drew, no problem at all.
Right.
So it's actually Shawami.
Shawami.
You were
what I say? Shawami.
You said chicken shawarma.
Shawami.
Shawami. And I had one more thing I wanted to tell you. They're huge. Shawami is huge in Florida, Colorado, Texas, and Arizona. And now Michigan's rocking and rolling. So, and other states are doing really well too. But those 5 states are rocking and rolling. But they're growing, and it's an amazing company. Great people that own it. And I just want to let all the real estate agents know that listen to this to say, you don't always have to be on. That's what I wanted to tell you. It doesn't matter if maybe you're not on vacation. So sometimes, or I'm not going to say sometimes, Wednesdays and Sundays, I take off.
Right.
Okay. So do I make exceptions off of that? Yes.
Right.
But Wednesdays and Sundays, because you need to power down to power up, right?
Right. Yep.
To go 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that sustainable?
No.
It's
I've
not.
tried it.
No. Okay. So Shawami's a solution to this, right? You pay, if you have a couple showings on a Sunday or whatever day it is, go rest, go recharge, go take a nap, go to a movie, whatever you want to do and recover.
Right.
And then next day, boom, 100 miles an hour. We're getting after it, right?
Right.
So
I agree. I love it. Hey,
woo!
I got one more thing on that before you give some advice, because I think a lot of agents, because I remember when you first started putting this out and you got a lot of hate. I saw the hate in the comments.
We going there now?
Oh, we're going there.
Okay.
Because I want to tie this back to people really paying attention to the times and understanding where stuff is going, because Uber I have never used Uber until Dallas, Texas. And
really?
It blew my freaking mind, because I did not see a single taxi anywhere. And that's a big airport. It was all Ubers. And it's like a company comes in with this revolutionary idea and completely destroys something that has been everywhere. Same thing with Netflix. Blockbuster was our favorite place to go. Blockbuster's dead. They didn't see the writing on the wall, and there's one Blockbuster left in the world, just to have one left in the world.
Is there one?
There's one. I don't know where it's at, but I know there's one Blockbuster still open. It's like the OG Blockbuster. They didn't kill that one. But it's like these companies are coming in and completely revolutionizing industries, and there's a lot of that going on in the real estate space. And it's like, I just think agents really need to pay attention to this stuff and quit fighting back against some of it so hard, because you're right. Our lives, like real estate agents, are always on. We're constantly on. Like, this is now on do not disturb mode, but she's freaking cute. I want to see her. Mm-hmm. And my brain is constantly going. Real estate agents, like, our brains never shut off. Like, even during REM sleep, I'm probably thinking about real estate. It's like these are opportunities where it's like, oh my God, because we've all had, I don't care who you are, if you're a real estate agent, there's been times where you get a showing and you put a smile on your face. You're like, I don't really want to do this right now. Like, my family's having a party or whatever, but it's one of those huge clients that you're like, all right, I'm just going to go do it. Let's do it. And then it's like, hi, guys, how are you? Yeah, everything's great. Great Sunday, beautiful weather out. I'm sucker with you, but it's like we love our clients and we want to give them top-notch service. And sometimes we need to recharge, like you said. And if this gives you that opportunity to recharge, clients aren't going to care. If you set the expectations correctly up front, like, look, there might be times, like there's this really cool new app, Edify the app, show them what the app is. If I need help, I have help here. So if there's a property that you really want to see that I am busy, tied up with something else, and I can't show you that property, instead of making you wait till tomorrow to see it, I now have a solution in order to get you in there right away.
Absolutely. And I reframe it a different way. I say, I'm going to try and be there as much as I can, but there are times where I'm away, I'm on vacation, I'm going on conferences, that kind of thing. Right. But I have a handful of agents that support me that are going to be my backup, because with Shawami, you can put a preferred agent in there.
Okay.
And I already have a handful of preferred agents here in West Michigan. I have one in Bay City and maybe a couple in Lansing. So that solves that. So I just basically say that. So that's been amazing. Yeah. Going back to the Garrar post the video that I posted. So there were not a lot, I don't know, 5 to 10 people that really didn't like it. They got complaints, or Garrar got complaints about it, and they told me that ultimately that I cannot post on there, and that's okay. And my response is, it's for who it's for. Right. I'm for who I'm for. You're for who you're for. Yeah. Meaning it's not going to fit it. And I mean this in the most kind way possible, because I did some reflection after that and saying that, but like maybe some of the agents don't know what it's like to maybe work with, 10 clients that want to see, one's in Hudsonville, one's in Holland, one's in Kalamazoo, one's in Lansing, right? And you're pulled in a lot of directions, and that's okay. And we're thankful for that, right? I am thankful for that, but this helps me. Yeah. This helps me. This can help you. Right. And someone said, someone made a comment where, if you don't want any of your clients, Drew, that I'll take them.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that comment.
And I'm not going to do a battle on social media by any means. Again, my intent is to help you. My intent is to get some exposure for Shawami, and that's why I did that. Right. And but my thought process, if there's someone that isn't okay with me taking a day or two off, like,
I don't need to work with them anyways.
Right. And you can say no, right? You can say no to certain clients, and sometimes it's not a good personality fit, and that's okay. Right. But that was my initial response in my head, just to be like, that's okay. And if you want to be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's great.
Right.
But I don't, because when I do take time off, when I'm able to read, guess what? When I'm able to read 100 books in 3 years because of this app and other things that I've done to be more efficient,
right.
Guess what? I come back even a better real estate agent. I can solve problems. I'm running towards challenges.
Right.
I'm going to come back better in all aspects of my life. So it's a win-win situation. Right. But long story long, it's for who it's for. And some people are going to not like it for various reasons. And that's okay. So, right. But it's funny you say that, because when I posted it, some agents that I didn't know, like face to face, they came up to me like, you're the Facebook guy that got all the hate. But I will say this. They have also said that they are reluctant to post on that Facebook forum because of everything that certain things are said. Right. And so that's kind of sad to me that that's where we're at, where people are kind of attacking, for lack of better terms.
I don't post on there anymore. I posted I love to help real estate agents. That's why I do my YouTube channels, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is just to help realtors, because this is a hard business. Not everybody has the mindset we do. Not everybody's in the top 1%. Like, there's a lot of people that just, if they're making 80 to 100,000 a year, they're super happy, and it's like, how many agents can we help to change their lives and to change, the failure rate in real estate? Because what is it, like 83% of real estate agents don't make it in the first 2 years?
I thought it said higher than that.
It might even be higher than that. So it's really freaking high. And if we can do this stuff and help real estate agents succeed and have a happier, healthy life, it's like, I'm all about that. So I guess my point of that is, we were starting to do trainings for anybody that wanted to come, not just EXP agents, anybody that wanted to come. And I put one in the GAR page and got slapped and kicked off of there. The post got kicked off of there. I can't post that kind of stuff in there. And it's like, okay, fine. Like, I get it. They think I'm trying to recruit to EXP. And it's like, no, yeah, maybe there's a very small part of that. And it's like, if you like our culture and you like who we are, come talk to us, But it's like, that's not what that's about. It's about helping other real estate agents and getting more information out there. It's like, I am really freaking good with video. I'm really good on social media. I'm not the best on social media. I'm really good at video. It's like, I want to share that knowledge with every real estate agent that I can. So
I agree, and that's unfortunate. And there's been I saw a post once where an agent was dogging on a specific area of agents, saying that all agents in this area are XYZ. Right. And people were just pinging. I'm just like, okay, but these posts are allowed, but and that's okay, and it's just the way it is, right? But I would say to our real estate friends that know us, like us, trust us, that love us, and look up to us, or want to be around us, to post it. It's okay. Right. And we're going through stats today, but regardless of what you do, if you cure cancer, if you do everything right, blah, 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 there's a stat out there that says between 10 and 25% of people are not going to like you no matter what you do. Right. So focus on the 75%. Yeah. Maybe, and don't be afraid to ask a question. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I always encourage agents to go do a video, and it's okay. You're not going to do great. You might not do great your first time, but put yourself out there. Try. Post if you have a question. So no matter what you do, there's going to be a handful of people that just, you don't see eye to eye. Yeah. So go do it.
Guess what, audience? If you have haters, which I've recently started getting more and more haters, you are doing something right. Plain and simple.
Dude, I got an imposter.
Bring it on, haters.
I got an imposter on social or Instagram.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
2 now. Yeah. There's 2 of them. He's selling crypto. He or she. I don't know. I don't know if it's a he ridiculous. Or a she, or if it's if it's just like computers.
It's because you have a big following. And anybody that's got those big followings and has built that, people want, they steal it all the time. I see it all the time. It's hilarious.
But sad. It's like people are just like, I thought this was you for a while, and then until they started making grammar mistakes. Yeah. Like, that still might be me.
You're like,
but,
shoot.
Yeah, but I mean, really great conversation, Kevin, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and congrats to you on everything that you're doing. Keep inspiring, keep encouraging people, and and put yourself out there like you have been, and you'll continue to soar, and I know I will too. And I think we're doing this because we want to share
Yes.
share other, I think the success rate for agents, the failure rate, I should say, was in the 90s after 2 years. So
it's really
follow
high.
some of the stuff, put yourself out there, right? Get uncomfortable, run towards your fears, do all of that. And I promise you, and also work on your mindset and have a good attitude.
Right.
And if you do that, like you're going to be okay.
You're going to be 100%. Okay. I mean, I think that's the advice, guys.
Woo!
That's
How long
the advice.
Did we go?
Like,
we went long. We went double time. We're going to have to split this into 2.
Yes. Well, we're going to do a part 2. So we're going to make you guys stay tuned for more content. Guys, don't just listen to this and let it, go through your brain without doing anything. Implement something that you took out of this podcast and go dominate for your life, dominate for your family, and don't just focus on business. If you took anything out of this podcast today, don't just focus on chasing the dollar. Like, you've got to have all the other parts in your life. So we would love to know down in the comment section kind of what was the takeaways, what was the juice out of this podcast that you guys really liked. What was that golden nugget that you took out of this podcast? I really enjoyed having Drew on the podcast. I learned a lot about you, buddy. I'm excited to learn more about you, and we're definitely gonna have a part 2 because I feel like we could keep going and going and going.
I know we got to cut this off.
I know, but these guys are probably like, dude, just shut up and let me
get
on my day. So we appreciate you guys listening and watching. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and wherever you're watching or listening to this, we appreciate the support. So have a good day, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.
Thank you.